Hi, everybody. My name is Kirsten Smith, and today it is October 27th, and we are here today with Devin. She is the Global Equine Business Development Manager for Diamond V. So, what we're doing here today is Hoffman's has, we're including some new nutritional innovation in our Hoffman's feeds coming from Diamond V. We have always used Diamond V in our horse products as well as lots of our other products from Country Junction. And we just today wanted to explain to you, give you an explanation that you can help pass on to your customers, help with your own personal knowledge of what we are doing and expanding on with Hoffman's. So, Devin, thank you for being here with us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. If you want, I will dive in.
Absolutely. Let's get right into it.
All right. Hey, everyone. Like Kirsten said, my name is Devin Vespi. I am the Global Equine Business Development Manager for Diamond V. I have been with Diamond V for about a year and a half, and today I'm really excited to talk to you guys about the new innovation that's coming into Hoffman's feed and what this means for your horse owners and really even for you as a dealer, how you can talk about Hoffman's feed in a different way. So we're going to dive right in. So first, I wanted to take a moment and talk about Diamond V in general. I think it's really important to understand the brand and company behind the new innovation with Hoffman Feed. We have been around since 1943. Our products are manufactured in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. However, we do distribute to over 70 countries. But the big thing here that I want everyone to take away is we are a science-first company. We have over 500 studies done across multiple species, and over 140 of those studies are peer-reviewed and published. And what that means is we have about as strong of research that you can have to prove our products and to show they give animals a benefit. So today, pretty excitingly, I'm going to talk about TruEquine Postbiotic. This is the new innovation that you're going to see in Hoffman's line of feed. Just a little bit of context, TruEquine Postbiotic is the new innovation in the Diamond V front when it comes to horses. We have new research around TruEquine Postbiotic. We have a new brand that we've brought out to the public that you'll see in the Hoffman's line of feed. And we also have a new definition of our product, which is now considered a postbiotic. So TruEquine Postbiotic is a natural postbiotic horse feed additive that works to maintain immune strength and can lead to joint support, gut health, and stress management. These three bullets here, I really want to emphasize now, and I will emphasize a couple more times in our presentation. This is the bread and butter of what TruEquine does to horses. And so if a horse owner or somebody comes into your feed store and they might have a horse with a joint issue or a stomach issue, or even just not handling stress really well when it comes to exercising, you can think about Hoffman's feed in a more advanced way because of TruEquine being in the feed. We've been shown through research to benefit horses in these three different aspects. And so as you're talking to a horse owner, you can really kind of pivot based on what they need for their horse. Next, I'm going to talk about our postbiotic. And I'm also in this way, I'm going to explain what a postbiotic is. Most likely you haven't heard what a postbiotic is, or maybe you just heard a little bit around that term. So how I'm actually going to explain what our TruEquine Postbiotic is how it's made. So how we make our TruEquine Postbiotic is we combine a Saccharomyces cerevisiae yeast. You can kind of think of it as a prebiotic, and then our fermentation media. And you can almost kind of think of it as a probiotic. We then combine it into our manufacturing facility in Cedar Rapids, and we go through a two-step fermentation process. And you can think of this process as being very similar to actually what happens in a horse's hindgut. At the end of this process, we heat deactivate our postbiotic, And in the end, we get a postbiotic, which really means post-fermentation product. So it is a product that has already gone through the fermentation process. One of the most advantageous aspects of this is when you think about what happens in a horse day to day, they get pretty stressed. And so even if your horse is getting the perfect amount of pre and probiotics, you still have to rely on their hindgut fermentation process to get what they actually need, which is something called metabolites. So if a horse is stressed, or if a horse is given bute, or just kind of going, having something happen to them that's going to affect their fermentation process in their hindgut, the horse is not going to get what they actually need to make their gut healthier, which is metabolites. But when you feed a postbiotic, we have done all the hard parts for the horse already. It's post-fermentation. So these horses, no matter if they're stressed or if they're on medication, they're delivered exactly what they need every single time. And that's a huge advantage, especially for working horses. So now this is the pretty fun part. I'm going to talk about the research we have done on TruEquine. As of right now, we've done 16 studies on TruEquine. We have actually done studies since 1983. Again, you're going to see these three main pillars where it says TruEquine can help a horse's gut health, stress management, and also help support their joints. I'm going to drive that home again a couple more times because I hope by the end of this presentation, if you get anything out of it, it's that Hoffman's feed is really the feed you should be recommending. There's new innovation behind it, and it's because it's been shown through research to help a horse's gut, their stress management, and their joint support. So next, I'm going to start running you guys through some of the research you see here. First, I want to talk about our equine gut health benefits. It's pretty cool. I'm going to talk about some of the research and actually how TruEquine works in a horse. So first, we have some research where we've been shown to improve nutrient digestibility in horses. What that means is just when you feed a horse, they get more nutrients out of what you feed them. I think this is actually a really big call out because we have research showing that if a horse fed poor quality forage, we increase their nutrient digestibility. So if you think about somebody walking through your feed store and, maybe the hay quality is pretty variable or, due to cost or something like that, they're dropping to a different hay, you can actually recommend Hoffman's feed because it's going to help these horses gain more nutrients from that hay based on the TruEquine inside of their feed. We've also been shown to increase VFA production. VFA is short for volatile fatty acids. VFAs are really important for horses. VFAs contribute a significant amount of the energy needs for a horse. And actually, what VFAs do that's pretty cool is if you look at these pictures here, is a high amount of VFA actually allows a horse's intestinal villi to become longer and more dense. What's even cooler is around 70 to 80% of a horse's immune system is located in that villi. So if you think about it, when you feed TruEquine to a horse, you increase the amount of volatile fatty acids. You also allow their intestinal villi or their gut to become healthier. But because the horse's immune system, or a lot of their immune system is located there, the horse's immune system is healthier. So as horses are dealing with challenges that they need their immune system for, these horses are just going to respond much more effectively. All right, so now I'm going to talk about some of our newest research. That's pretty cool. So this is a study we did at Texas A&M. It is peer-reviewed and published in the Journal of Animal Science. I'm going to go over it in a higher level. And so what we did in this study is we had two groups of horses. We had a group of horses not fed our postbiotic and a group fed TruEquine postbiotic. We gave them amount of time to acclimate to the research environment and to acclimate to being fed to TruEquine. After that set amount of time, we did something we did an exercise stress challenge in these horses. So what we did is we walk, trot, cantered the horses for 2 hours. That's a pretty long time to exercise horses. And, it's really a way for us to see what happens if a horse is pretty stressed out and how TruEquine can help these horses. So if you see this first graph here, where my clicker is, we measured something called serum cortisol. All you have to think about cortisol is that it's a horse's stress hormone. And when a horse is stressed, you want their cortisol levels to go up, but then you want their cortisol levels to go down as fast as possible. If they don't go away in a pretty fast manner, it can actually have some pretty significant health effects to horses. It can make them aggressive. It can increase their incidence of colic, diarrhea, and it can even reduce their reproductive ability. So if you see here in this graph, the blue line represents the horses fed the TruEquine Postbiotic, and 0 hour is just after the exercise challenge has occurred. And after the horses have finished exercising, you can see the group fed TruEquine had significantly less cortisol levels compared to the other group. And what that means is just these horses are able to respond better and recover better in exercise. So I wanted to stop a moment and kind of talk about what that means for a horse owner that's walking, in your feed store. If, let's say, a horse is maybe having a hard time recovering after, a barrel competition or a jumping competition or something along those lines, you can actually recommend the Hoffman's line of feed based on this TruEquine research, because we've been shown to help horses recover better after exercise. For example, in the other graph you see here, in the same study, we measured something called serum amyloid A. You might have heard of that term before because a lot of veterinarians are doing stall-side serum amyloid A test. What serum amyloid A really means for a horse is whole body inflammation, or even an infection if that is pulling an SAA analysis for your horse. You want there not to be a lot of serum amyloid A circulating in the horse's blood, especially after exercise. I mean, of course, you don't want inflammation when a horse is exercising. And if you see in this graph, again, the blue line shows horses fed TruEquine. And these horses have significantly less serum amyloid A levels compared to the group not fed our postbiotic. So these horses, recovered better from exercise, but also had less inflammation in their body after exercise. So again, I think there's many ways you can help a horse owner and lead them to the Hoffman's feed based on this research. A horse that maybe is getting stiff after a horse show or exercise, or that's just, again, not recovering very well after exercise. They really need something like our TruEquine Postbiotic to help them recover better. So now I'm going to talk about another study we did that's pretty cool. It is a study we did at the University of Florida, where we did a transport stress model in horses. So all that means is we wanted to mimic long distance transport in horses and see how it affects their microbiome. The microbiome is a new term that's starting to gain some traction in the equine world. And it's pretty exciting because we're going to have some research published quite soon that you see here based on this study. So we stressed these horses out through a transport stress model, and then we measured their microbiome. What I want you to understand from here is a couple things. In an ideal world, you want a horse's microbiome to be varied. You want a lot of stuff in their microbiome. That's ideal. But what's even more ideal is that you want their microbiome to be stable. If it swings one way or another, that's actually pretty deleterious or not the best thing for a horse. So we saw in this study, horses fed TruEquine had a more stable microbiome after the head tying challenge. And that's shown here in this Shannon diversity graph. If you look at the colors on the other side of this slide, we also looked at something called enzymes. Enzymes, specifically carbohydrate enzymes. What enzymes do is they break down carbohydrates, and that's super important for horses. And what we saw is in our horses' microbiome, there's basically two significant groups of carbohydrate enzymes in the horse's microbiome. But once you stress horses, only the TruEquine group kept both groups of enzymes after the stress. Why that's important is because you want your horses to always have the full capability of breaking down carbohydrates as it is fed to them. So TruEquine has been shown to stabilize the horse's microbiome and also stabilize the pathway for horses to break down carbohydrates. I promise you, someday, some horse owner is going to go to your feed store and start talking about the equine microbiome. It's really starting to gain some traction. And so now when you hear that word, you can think about Hoffman's feed line and then maybe think about TruEquine as well, but at least know that in the Hoffman's feed line, there is research showing that this feed is able to stabilize the horse's microbiome. And finally, the last study I'm going to talk to you about today is pretty cool. So it is a study that we did at Texas A&M. Again, this study is peer-reviewed and published in the Journal of Animal Science. What we did here is called an LPS challenge. And all you have to think about it, if you hear the term LPS challenge, is it's a way to mimic acute inflammation for a horse through a research setting. So think about if a horse stumbled or maybe hit its leg and their joint blows up, there's acute fast-acting inflammation. That's what we created in a research study. And then we measured two things. If you look on this graph where my clicker is, we measured something called prostaglandin E2. All you have to know is high prostaglandin E2 levels means high joint inflammation. And I think everyone here, if you've ever had a horse, you don't want to hear that word joint inflammation. And you just don't really want a lot of inflammation in a horse's joint. In an ideal world, if a horse's joint is challenged, you want there to be a slight uptick in joint inflammation, and then you want it to go away as fast as possible. And when it doesn't, is one of the reasons why we see horses having a lot of joint issues throughout their life. So in this LPS challenge, we had, again, two groups, a group not fed the TruEquine Postbiotic, and then the group fed the TruEquine Postbiotic. And if you look here, the group fed the TruEquine Postbiotic just had less joint inflammation. It had less joint inflammation, and it also got rid of the joint inflammation faster than the other group. So, I mean, I don't know about you guys here, but I have two horses. They're dressage horses. They get hurt. They do stupid stuff. I don't know. I mean, my horses are just quite exuberant, I guess. And the joint issue is a constant thing. It's, the one career limiting factor that we see in horse sports, and it's a really big issue. So it's pretty cool that we now have research that has shown that we can reduce horses' joint inflammation. And if you have somebody come to your feed store talking about how maybe their horse isn't as fast, or their horse is having some joint issues, or something along those lines, instead of leading them towards a joint supplement that doesn't have research behind them, make sure that they're feeding Hoffman's feed, because there is research proven ingredients in the Hoffman's feed line that's been shown to reduce joint inflammation. And in the market, that's not always there. We also, if you look at the other graph where my clicker is now, we looked at cartilage synthesis in horses. And it's pretty cool. We actually saw horses fed TruEquine had more cartilage synthesis, and it stabilized more. So again, I mean, cartilage is a big word. Horse owners are aware of it. There's not a lot that can be done, in terms of cartilage in horses. So the fact that if a horse owner is feeding this feed, and we've actually been shown to help stabilize the synthesis and increase it, you really know that these horses are supported in many different ways. Which leads me to my last slide. In summary, TruEquine improves horses' health and performance for life. We've been shown to support horses' joints, to support joint mobility and cartilage health. We've also been shown to help horses' gut health. So we support a healthy hindgut microbiome for optimal horse gut health, digestion, and gut function. And finally, we've been shown to help horses through different types of stressors. So we support horse stress management through a healthy immune system. And that is my presentation for today. So now I'm going to hand it back over to Kirsten.
Thank you so much, Devin. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what is new with Hoffman's horse products, because there has been a few new things. I guess I have it at the bottom of my list, but first and foremost, I'll talk about TruEquine. We are so excited to add this feed additive into our feeds. I think what's really important for you guys to know is it's coming from Diamond V. It's a company that we've had their products in our products for from the very beginning, actually, from that first bag of Hoffman's horse mineral. And so it's a product that you can trust and we can trust, and we're so excited about the research that's behind it and just the proof of how it works. That's really exciting for us. And we do have a new brochure coming out that will be showing these new increase in vitamin E levels, the Pro 24, as well as in that brochure, we do have a little bit of info on what TruEquine is, as well as which of the products contain this TruEquine. So those are going to print really soon. You'll be able to get we'll be out there handing them out to you right away. So as I just mentioned, we have increased the vitamin E levels in most of our products. Vitamin E has really important antioxidant properties, and we've always had really sufficient levels, but just upping these levels just gives that little extra bit of support to help with these horses' vital functions that these antioxidant properties play a part in. So the second is the Hoffman's Pro 24 supplement. I know we've been talking a lot to you guys about this. We've been putting it out on social media, but I thought I would just run through right now quick while we have you all about Pro 24. So Pro 24 is a concentrated protein, vitamin, and mineral supplement. The different ways you can use it are you can use it on its own in conjunction with good quality hay. For those horses that don't necessarily need the added calories, but need that protein and that vitamin and mineral source. So what's exciting about Pro 24 is actually in one daily feeding of Pro 24, you get a daily feeding of Hoffman's Performance Mineral. As well as you can use Pro 24 if you're balancing your own rations, or if you have a customer that is feeding lots of different energy sources, feeding additional energy sources, they can use Pro 24 in that. And Pro 24 is one of the products that does use the TruEquine. So again, I am so excited about adding TruEquine into the Hoffman's line. We just wanted to give you all an overview of what it means. We're more than happy to answer any of your questions that come up. Whether if we don't have the answers, then we have access to Devin, also have access to all that awesome research that you saw. So if you have any more questions for us, please get a hold of your sales representative. So thank you so much. And again, thank you, Devin. And we are happy to talk to you guys about TruEquine.
Bye, everyone.